Hello, welcome back to the Forge, and welcome to part 2 of our first responder spike. In the last video, we got the knife forged from billet into rough shape, and today we're going to make a little refinements. Let me show you what I have in mind. So in the last video, we talked about me not being completely comfortable with the finger ring and how it was gripped on this knife. Now, I got a suggestion from YouTube user Bear Knife Bonsai, who said grinding a finger choil here for the index and here for the pinky would give you a much more stable grip without requiring the finger ring, but still leaving it open if that's the way you want to grip it. And I think that's a great idea. The only problem is I wear a size 8 cut glove, so I don't have the biggest hands in the world, don't have the smallest. They're perfectly normal sized, but we're going to need just a little more real estate here before I think we can implement that idea. So first things first, back to the forge, and we're going to take a little more length into the handle. Anything that's a blade. Just put enough real estate in it. So the larger size hands have an easier time to grip this without using the finger ring by necessity, giving enough real estate in the hand. Okay, so we've got a little more length in the tang than we had before. I am not going to show you because that is still quite hot and it would hurt. So the next step we have to mitigate the handle issue is suggestions from our friend Bear Knife Bonsai. Now let me show you what he was talking about. First, let me just put this thing down, and I think we'll flip it and reverse it. Now, what our friend was telling us is a finger choil at the index and pinky. So basically taking a grinder, or in his case, what he suggested was a half round file, and putting an area for your fingers to sit a little more comfortably, coming up into a bit of a palm swell, and then coming back down into this area for your pinky or your index to sit, depending on how you're gripping the blade. In order to get that diamond profile from the tip, like we talked about in the first video, we need to make sure that the blade and the false edge stay in line with the handle. To do this, we're going to color in the edges with a Marksol. This is the same as layout fluid, but this is what I have. I'm going to make sure we fill in all the gaps, that way we can make a nice clean scribe line. And let me take this opportunity to remind you that this is a part 2, so if you want to see how we got here, be sure to check out my channel and subscribe, and go back and watch part 1. We're also going to take this opportunity to mark the ricasso line, so that we can really refine the bevels as we grind. Once we have that done, using a set of calipers, we measure the thickness of the blade. I like to get a point at the middle, from the tip, and the base, and if those aren't uniform, we can divide all the numbers in half. After that, we just set our scribe to whatever one half of the value is, and we mark a center line on our blade. You can see that line here, and that'll let us know to swap to the other side once we get to it on our grind. Now that we can color inside the lines, I put my blade on an adjustable rack that lets me keep consistent angles as I grind my bevels. This is a great tool for beginners like myself in order to get those nice clean grind lines. Then we swap over and get the back bevel, and we're just about ready for heat treat. here's our quenched blade. I didn't feel any pings, tings, or cracks. Everything looks solid. We picked up a very slight warp at the tip, but that was an area that I needed to come back on the grinder, so I think that's actually going to help us in the end. Is it hard? Alright, we're back. It's the next day. We are tempered. So let's take it to the grinder, start cleaning this thing up, getting ready to put a handle on it. Now, before we do the final grind, I made a potentially disastrous mistake when we were heat treating. I did not drill the holes for the handle pins. So this blade is hardened. It's going to be a little touch and go, but we're just using 3/16 pins. So boop, 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 and boop. So we're going to get those drilled, hopefully, or we're going to crack this knife, and I've wasted your time and mine, but let's find out. So, yeah, the handle is way too hard as it is right now. So we're going to have to glue it a little bit. I have the blade wrapped in a nice wet cloth that should prevent any kind of loss of temper on the blade side, and we're going to soften this handle up with a torch. Alright guys, so take a look. You can see where the line is blued, and that should be as far as we've lost any temper. I am pretty chuffed at how precisely that worked. I hope, but I guess we're going to find out. Pinholes. We needed them, now we've got them. And because I might want to monetize this channel one day, we're not going to talk about how we got them. Here you can see me starting my initial handle layout. I want to trim these scales so that they just barely bisect the finger ring. That should give us a nice transition from handle material to ring and make it a lot more comfortable to wield. Here you can also see some absolutely D-tier camera work, and that's because my phone is propped up on a sponge sitting on top of my grinder. So if you want to see some better camera work going forward, yell at me about it in the comments, and shame me into finally buying a tripod. My footage got corrupted during transfer, but I used epoxy resin to affix the handle scales to the knife, and then used brass pins for a mechanical connection. After putting in the clamps, I let it rest about an hour, then keeping it in the clamps, I started the rough grind. And as you can see in the footage, I did mask up any kind of grind micarta. It generates a lot of dust, and you really don't want to breathe that in. Now this isn't a proper N95, but I figure it's better than that. Now I'm going to use a rotary tool to grind away the material that overlaps with the finger loop. This should give us that nice smooth transition we talked about, and once I bevel it down on the grinder, it'll be an even more gradual slope from finger ring to handle. And there we have it, a first responder spike. I look forward to getting this into the hands of the guy that designed it. And I hope this can be a useful tool for all those firefighters, law enforcement, paramedics, EMTs, all those guys that sacrifice their time, safety, and sanity so that we can continue to live the lives the way we do, and I can continue to make knives and talk to myself in a shed. Anyways, guys, thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.